You may notice that you've got a bucket in the middle of your table and some papers, so we will get to that. If you are not currently at a table that has a bucket, can you transfer to a table that has one? There should be 8 tables that have buckets, so there's not many that don't. All right, good deal. So, I'm just going to talk for a little bit and then we'll get started. So, a couple of disclaimers. I am not an art therapist. I'm not an expressive art therapist. I am not qualified in that degree or an art teacher. But I would say that I am a creative person, so that automatically overflows into my practice. I am currently training in mental health, so I do mental health therapies, particularly cognitive behavioral therapy. I work a lot with Benitra, who spoke earlier, and Dr. Heather Austin, who will speak this afternoon. And I'm a firm believer in alternative therapeutic practices, such as the arts, animal-assisted therapy, etc. So in my practice, I've earned that by engaging the client in an expressive activity almost always breaks the ice and starts to develop rapport, because a lot of times you'll go in there and you'll start a conversation, and what do adolescents do? They close down. So if you have something integrated with that, then a lot of times it opens them up, helps them get in tune to how they're feeling, and allows them to actually express their emotions. So thinking outside of the box is always awesome. So you can Google different things. You can one of my activities I actually transformed into a therapeutic exercise from something that we did as kids, me and my sister. So thinking outside of the box, because adolescents often have a hard time finding words to explain how they feel and how to explain their emotions. And when we walk into the room, what are the first questions that we almost always ask is, hey, how are you? How are you feeling? And those questions, for some of our clients that are already anxious, are already feeling down, are already feeling like there's all these questions going on in my mind that I can't answer, and then we ask one that seems so easy, and the first response would be, oh, I'm fine. But are they really fine? Are you really feeling that way? So when integrating a therapeutic exercise, I like to challenge my clients to engage, reflect, and then share. And we will do all 3 of these things. So while you're practicing, while you're doing this example, and while you are practicing with your clients, should you take these examples with you? And I hope you will. Always remember it's about the process and not the product. That's so hard for our clients who are who have OCD tendencies or have the type A personalities, because they want the product to be perfect. They want it to look a certain way. That is not what therapeutic expression is about. It's about the actual process. So you can, if you're having a hard time letting go of that and indulging in the therapeutic process, use your left hand. That's a good way, because you're not controlling, or use your, non-dominant hand. I'm left-handed, or I'm right-handed. Use your non-dominant hand, and so then that automatically takes you back to a place where you're not in as much control as you feel like you should be. So, like I said, we're going to do this process together. So, you should have paper in the middle of your table. Everybody go ahead and get one piece of paper. And there's different art supplies. So, for right now, I've only got, I'm going to talk in the microphone now, just so y'all can hear me. So for right now, I've only got crayons, markers, and chalk. So you can choose any one of those modalities that you feel drawn to, any color that you feel drawn to. And I just want you to begin to color aimlessly, like you're scribbling, like you would do when you were 3 or 4 and you weren't focused on coloring inside the lines, you weren't focused on drawing a picture, you just scribbled. And so while you're doing this, I would like you to reflect on your day, reflect on your week. So what's going on inside your body? What are you feeling inside of your body? Maybe something's weighing heavy on you, and maybe you just want to get it out. So you may color hard, you may color soft, you may color or scribble in straight lines or in circles. You may do big strokes, you may do small strokes. You may only want to do one line and that's it. Whatever you do and whatever you scribble is perfectly okay. And when you feel you're done, just feel free to stop. If you're still going, you can continue to color. Whoops. Sorry, I had music. Okay, now, I didn't tell you the purpose of this activity for a reason, because I didn't want you to get something put into your mind before you engaged in the activity. So this activity is actually an example of emotional expression. And like I said earlier, the idea comes from something that my sister and I did as kids. So my dad would actually scribble on a piece of paper, and then in order to pass the time, he would then give that piece of paper to either me or my sister, and then tell us, okay, I want you to make something. I want you to create something out of this scribble that you did. I want you to find whatever picture you see and use that creative side of your brain and make it into something beautiful. So I developed it I transformed it into a therapeutic exercise because I also learned that, what did I click? I clicked something, guys, sorry. So we would pass it, but for this, I want you to reflect on your own drawing, because there's something about what you scribbled, what you were thinking about when you were scribbling, what was going on through your mind and through your body. And I want you to look at your picture. You can hold it away from you. You can turn it around. I want you to see if there's anything hiding in your drawing. So gain different perspectives. You may want to walk around with it. You may want to lift it up into the air, let it fall down, throw it, turn it all the way around. But whatever is hiding in that picture, I want you to bring it out. So whenever you find that hidden picture inside your scribble, I want you to darken it. You can use a different color, you can use the same color, you can use a different modality. It's completely up to you. And don't put pressure on yourself. It's the first thing that you see. It may be a tornado. Like, it may look exactly as it is. finishing up finding that hidden picture, I want you to reflect on it. And I want you to imagine, why did I draw this? Why did this come out? Is there something that's deep inside of me that I don't want anybody to know? Is there something that I've been struggling with that may be hard for me to struggle with? Is there some emotion that I just need to explode out? Maybe it could even be joy. You are so filled with joy. It could be related to family members. It could be related to school, related to work. And now here's the tricky part. So the third thing that I always like my clients to do is share. And so if you feel comfortable, I want you to share with people at your table. You don't have to. Don't feel pressured, because expressive arts can be very deep and it can be very personal. So don't feel like you have to share, but I would like to encourage you to if you feel led. Does anyone want to come up and share with the whole group? I'll go over mine that I did a little bit.
Yeah, at least always over.
So I'll go over my example, unless someone else wants to come up and go over their example. But so mine, up in the top right-hand corner, that was the scribble. And then down in the bottom, I came up with an octopus. I'm not really sure why he's wearing glasses, but when I thought about it, I was like, I have my brain and my mind and everything going in so many different directions. So I have my work life, I have my school life, I have my family, my friends, my relationship. And a lot of times that's very, very hard for me to juggle. And if it weren't for, I'm going to say, art and medicine, then I would not be able to function. So this little octopus came out of the scribble at the top and allowed me to look inward and say, hey, maybe I have a good balance, but some of these things need to be a little bit more prevalent in my life. So, okay. All right, there's a quote. Sorry, this was during the reflection. So we do not learn from experience, we learn from reflecting on the experience. The thing may have died. Okay, well, I have the next activity. Hang on one second. I'm going to have to do it by hand because I think the clicker died. No, it didn't. There it is. Okay, so the next activity is more structured, so you don't have to think as out of the box for this one. But it's based on cognitive behavioral therapy, which is what I primarily use with my clients. It's the most proven therapy for anxiety and depression, which a lot of my clients, particularly in eating disorders, also deal with. So it's based on the fact that your thoughts influence your feelings influence your behavior, and then your behavior influences your thoughts. It's a cycle. So we have to break that cycle. So the primary aim for breaking that cycle is to address the thoughts and to reframe the thoughts that we're having, these negative thoughts that keep coming into our mind. So just like the first example, I want to invite you to participate. So you can, if there's enough paper on the tables, which there should be, you can get another piece. If there's not, you can fold it in half. I mean, you can turn it on the back. But first thing, I want you to fold the paper in half. And then using one side of the paper, I want you to trace your non-dominant hand, just like you would do in cards when you were a kid. You would trace your hand so everybody could see, hey, this is how big I am. Okay, and once you trace your hand, I want you to think of thoughts that maybe are uncomfortable to kind of think of, but thoughts that you just have, even if you just brush them off, like if I look into the mirror and I think, oh my gosh, I need to lose 10 pounds. Like I look huge. Like these kind of thoughts, or a lot of our patients will be like, oh my gosh, if I eat this, I'm going to make myself throw up because I will be a cow. Like just these thoughts that recur, or maybe it could be even something that's more personal, like I don't feel like my dad loves me. Like I don't feel like I'm included in my friends. All my friends are going to leave me if I don't do this. These kind of thoughts. So just think of some of those thoughts, and then once you're done, I want you to choose 2 of them. Now with my clients, I usually do 5 because we've got 5 fingers, right? But for this activity, just go ahead and choose 2 and write them down on 2 fingers that you choose. So it can be your thumb, it can be your pointer finger, whichever finger you choose. Go ahead and write them down. And while you're writing them down, strive to embody the essence of the thoughts on your paper using the materials. So if they make you feel a certain way, like how do these thoughts that I'm having make me feel? Do they make me feel sad? Do they make me feel depressed? Do they make me feel like I want to induce some self-harm? Do they make me these kind of things? Do they make me feel like I want to be alone? Do I want to be around a lot of people? Just use the art materials and think about those things while you're writing it down. And you can decorate that whole hand however you're feeling. And I've learned a lot of my clients they tend to use the darker colors, which may or may not reflect any or resonate with any of you guys, but it's your choice. Here's some questions to think of while you're coloring your hand. Who contributes to these thoughts? Why are these thoughts coming up? And what do they tell me about myself? What do I do when I have these thoughts? And how does my body respond when these thoughts are present? This would typically be an activity that you do one-on-one because it can be a little stressful for people to see in a group. Okay, as you're finishing up, like with cognitive behavioral therapy, we focus on reframing the thoughts. So, it's not all sad, it's not all depressing, but I know that that part could be really hard and that part can be really dark. But now, I want you to think of positive thoughts that combat the two that you wrote down. So make sure they go with the two. So if you said, my friends are all going to leave me, you would want to make sure that your positive truth, not thought, the truth in that statement is, my friends talk to me every day. My friends love me. My friends invite me to sleepover. That these kind of truths that are in the thoughts that you wrote down. So find the truth inside that. And then write down the truth on the opposite. Oh, did we trace our other hand? I'm sorry, guys. You need to trace your other hand on the opposite side of the paper. Yes, so this should be your dominant hand that you're tracing now. And And there's a reason why I told you to put the negative on your non-dominant and the positive on your dominant hand. Okay, so now that we've traced our hands, I apologize, guys. Now I want you to think of those combative truths that are hidden inside the thoughts that we wrote down, and write them on the opposite fingers. And then just like with the other one, there's some questions while you're writing them down. How do these truths make you feel? Who or what in my life helps me to see these truths? What do these truths tell me? What emotions are brought up when I say these truths out loud? Or when I hear someone else say these truths out loud to me? How does your body respond when you hear or see these truths? Capture the essence of these truths on your paper. Dr. King, Venitra, who spoke earlier, actually helped me come up with the title for this activity. She calls it Give Yourself a Hand, which I think is very appropriate in the sense that we don't have to rely on anyone else to make us feel how we're feeling right now with these truths. They are inside of us, and if we examine the thoughts that come into our mind and then truly dig down deep and find the truth in those thoughts, that power is within ourselves. So we can do that whenever we feel down, whenever we have a negative thought. So sorry, it's an abrupt stop, I'm sorry. So now I want you, as you're finishing up, to focus on the truths that you wrote down. I encourage you, like I do all of my patients, to take them home and put them in an area that you frequent. Maybe it's the bathroom, maybe it's the refrigerator in the kitchen, maybe it's your bedroom, on the mirror, in some area that you go a lot, that you will see the truths that come out of the false perceptions that we develop. And say them out loud as many times a day as you want. Say them out loud until you believe them. And you can add to them. You can add more. If more thoughts come in, add those, and then find the truth in those thoughts. So these are some examples of what I do with my patients, and they seem to like it. So I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. Otherwise, lunch is here. I'll be here, though, so you can come up and ask me. Okay.